think you were grinding your teeth again last night. My boyfriend places coffee for me on our kitchen table. It's cold this morning and I wrap my hands around the mug. Eek! That's so weird. I can't tell that I'm doing it. How can you tell? It's like a clicking noise, like chattering. He passes me cream from the fridge. It's kind of rhythmic too. I say it's grinding because I'm not sure how else to describe it. It's like you're knocking your teeth together. He holds his mouth open and drops it closed. It's like nails on a chalkboard, and I shudder. Ugh, that is so strange. I'm going to have to tape my mouth shut or something. He gives me a side hug. I still love you, he says with a wink. He sits down, pulling out his phone to read the news. This is our morning routine, the same one we've had for the past year of living together. I wonder if it's my retainer or something, I continue. Maybe I need it adjusted, or it's bothering me in my sleep. I do actually feel like my jaw has been a bit tight lately, or something. Could be. You could always call your doctor. Orthodontist, I correct. I haven't been to one in years, though. I mean, I got my braces off all the way back in middle school. That night, I stare at my teeth before brushing. I notice that I have some enamel wear. I've always had it worse than most. My dentist tells me it's because I have an overbite, but now I wonder if I've been grinding my teeth my whole life, too. My boyfriend is a heavy sleeper, so the fact that he's been hearing my teeth knocking means that it must be super loud. It gives me the creeps to think that I'm doing it unconsciously. I look at the transparent edges on my two front teeth. I tried teeth whitening, but I feel like it almost made the enamel wear stand out more. I brush, trying not to hyperfocus my anxiety on my image in the mirror. The next morning, my mouth is noticeably sore. My jaw feels like I've been chewing on gum for hours. My teeth feel ginger to the touch. Something is super wrong, I tell my boyfriend. I am wincing even just opening my mouth to drink my coffee. I'm sorry, babe. Definitely call the doctor. I call my dentist and ask if they have a recommendation for an orthodontist. The office can't see me for another 2 days, but at least I have an appointment scheduled. They recommend I remove my retainer at night until I can come in. Sometimes retainers can shift over time, the office assistant tells me. It can be anything from it getting knocked around to exposure to hot temperatures to biting down on it too much. It's possible that it just needs a bit of readjustment. But we'll still want to look at you to make sure nothing else is at play. I thank her. It makes sense. I don't think I've had my retainer adjusted in 10 years. That night, I gasped to see that my teeth look different. The enamel wear is significantly worse than it has ever been. I'm near tears. I start looking up the cost of dental caps online. It's expensive and I feel sick with anxiety. It's not that bad, my boyfriend says, looking at my mouth. You're probably just stressed. Maybe you'll feel better in the morning not wearing your retainer. The next morning, I am no longer in pain. Relief floods through me. I roll over, but my boyfriend is not in bed. This isn't terribly abnormal, as he is an early riser. Good morning, I grumpily mumble as I make my way to the kitchen, but there is nothing. I head to the bathroom, wondering if he is taking out the trash or something. I freeze. There is dark red smeared around my mouth. The room smells of iron. I realize with horror that it must be blood. I realize that I am stuffed, completely and utterly full, as if I have just eaten a feast. I feel the gurgle in my belly. I open my mouth. A little clump of hair juts out of my sharp razor-like teeth in the back of my mouth. I call my dad. Oh shit. How long ago did you last see the orthodontist? My dad asks on the other line. I don't know, maybe a decade? Damn it. You're supposed to go in every 10 years or the suppression wears off. Lesson learned, I guess. Anything left of him? No, I say, sobs starting to build on my chest. Okay, good. It's better that way. Don't worry about it. Let me call my guy. They've handled these types of emergencies before. How long will it take my teeth to go back to normal? Now that you've fed, they'll retract in about 24 to 48 hours. But we'll want to have your retainer looked at just in case. And make sure to mark your calendar or something for this time 9 years from now. We don't want this happening twice. I cough, shooting out one of my boyfriend's glasses lenses. I crunch it between my back teeth, swallowing it again. Definitely not. At 21 years old and 5.5 feet tall, I weighed 300 pounds. This meant I carried with me about 150 pounds of extra body weight, and it was, according to the doctors, slowly killing me. My doctors prescribed a strict diet and exercise routine, which was a problem because I binge eat as a way to deal with anxiety, and I was a naturally anxious person. I dropped out of school that year and decided to focus on my body, but the real reason I wanted to get in shape was David. David was a classmate of mine. At the top of his class, he was smart and kind. When I saw him for the first time, my heart skipped a beat. I sat next to him, and while the others would make nasty comments about me, he was always kind. When I dropped out, he was the only one to reach out and ask if I was okay. We texted often, but now that I think about it, I was always the one who initiated our conversations. One day, after the first month of my sabbatical, I finally gathered up the nerve to ask him out. He rejected me, obviously. He implicitly let me know that he didn't want me texting him again. He was polite, but I understood the message. As part of my recovery, I had to go to the gym, and although I was no longer enrolled in school, I still had access to an on-campus gym that was frequented by the students. I felt horrible walking in. I felt everyone stare at me. It was like being at the center of a carnival freak show. And that's when I saw him. He left a kettlebell on the station and turned to grab a bottle of water. A girl approached him, almost no fat in her, huge breasts, and her butt looked incredible in those skin-tight leggings. Not to mention her face was gorgeous, a picture of perfection. I thought she may have been an instructor, but then she was in his arms and they were kissing. A gorgeous couple. I tried to keep to myself, but David noticed me and waved hi. I waved back and she saw it. She came to my treadmill with 2 more girls and they started harassing me. She was like a territorial animal, and when she realized who I was, she turned to the offensive. Surely David had mentioned our texting. They started making fun of me, publicly, and everyone around started laughing at me. I was crying. I looked at David to try and get him to intervene, but his girlfriend told me to stop staring at her man. Then one of her friends made me trip as I walked on the treadmill, and I went face first into the ground. The band of the treadmill pulled me back and I was shot to the floor. I rolled around it, causing the entire gym to burst out laughing. I ran out the door in tears. This event sent me into a depressive episode that I saw no way of recovering from. I came to learn her name was Alexandra and she was a freshman at the university. It had been 6 months since then, and the ghost of the humiliation I suffered followed me everywhere. I was on my way back from McDonald's. I carried with me half a dozen burgers and sodas and fries. The guy at the counter thought I was going to a party, but these were only for me. On my way home, I walked down a dark street. I would have usually taken the main street, but there had been new developments in the area, and it was under construction. I'd never been in the alley before, but it was a shortcut and it was more peaceful. That's when I saw the sign. It was a cosmetics place of sorts. It was dingy and ugly, but the man sitting at the front desk had a kind face. I kept walking, but he called out to me, and I turned around. He offered me a chance, and we talked for a long while about my experience at the gym, about seeing how everyone else was so much more beautiful than me, and about how I wanted to be like that girl from the gym. I wanted to replace her, to destroy her. The doctor smiled and said, "There is nothing that my scalpel cannot fix." I should have turned away, but I stayed. The surgeries were long and complicated. The doctor was cheap, cheaper than anyone should be, but it was all I could afford. Most of the surgeries were made to remove fat and readjust the skin. It was better than working out at the gym. Then the face surgeries came a few months later. Eternal sessions of pain. The anesthetic never quite worked, and I was trapped under the blade for hours on end, trying not to scream as the doctor smiled with evil glee. By the time the doctor was finally done with me, after my 13th plastic surgery, I looked in the mirror and I was happy to see I had completely transformed myself. I was no longer the sad, lonely loser I'd always known. I had become Alexandra. The resemblance was uncanny. I felt powerful, strong. It was time for me to make a move on David, but how was I to replace her? I grabbed my backpack and loaded it with the necessary tools. I followed her outside her gym. I saw David, gorgeous as ever, getting into his car and driving away. Alexandra got on her bicycle and rode away. I was behind her, far enough away that she wouldn't hear me. She took a corner, and I ran through the woods to intercept her. This was the street where it was supposed to happen. It was a dark road with no houses, connected to the forest. I intercepted her, and she fell from her bike. When she saw me, she had this confused look on her face. Confusion gave way to a sort of amusement, and she began to laugh. "Oh my God, it's you!" She recognized me. How would she recognize me? "Look at yourself, piggy. No matter what you do, you'll never be like me." She mocked me, making pig sounds. As if it were a sword, I pulled a pipe from my bag. She immediately stopped laughing. "What the hell?" she tried to ask, but I descended on her, straddling her like a horse and beating her face with the pipe. She cried out in pain, howled, and begged for mercy as I beat her down. Once I could no longer hear her screams, I stopped. The day after I went straight to the gym, I wore Alexandra's skimpiest outfit, and many people at the gym said, "Hi, Alex," as they passed me by. I got to David and I wrapped my arms around his neck. We kissed. It was everything I ever wanted. Soft but rich and lovely. I could feel his love for me, his warmth, but when we separated and he saw me, he was shocked. "You?" he asked. He started to ask where was his girlfriend, but I was sure I was Alex. Why would he say that to me? People were turning around, and before I knew it, I was screaming, madly in tremendous pain. I grew angry at the world, at the people I knew, at myself, but above all else, angry at David, at his constant rejection. I took one of the dumbbells and ran at him, smashing it in his face. It's been 10 years since. The people at the asylum won't let me go. They say I am still a danger to others. They tell me David survived, although he needed about as much plastic surgery as me in order to fix the damage. I still resent them for not accepting my identity. I was never that fat loser girl. Alexandra is not dead, and I never killed anyone. Because I am Alexandra. I am Alexandra. I am Alexandra.